Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Oh, wow. Yep. Thank you, Ken. Good morning, Andrew. Lovely to see you. Kenzo, Todd, Thanos, and Same Time Toys. Hello. Yeah, I know. It's like we all were just together in other streams. So, Mr. Hoover. Woot. Can't wait to hear what season 3 for yesterday's podcast is. A little bit of a plug. All right, so today, one last live stream of 2024, and most of you probably know at this point, I said in 2024 I was going to color this complete 1984 Masters of the Universe coloring book, because I scan and print. Obviously, the book itself is still mint condition, but I've only got 2 pages left. I've got this one with Evil-Lyn riding a dragon. And then this one, which I'm going to film after, I'm going to have lunch after the stream and then film this. And if I can get everything edited, the complete video will drop tomorrow. So anyway, we're going to do Evil-Lyn on the dragon today, which means I actually completed it, which frankly I did not think was going to happen. The big move sort of threw everything off for like a month and a half. But luckily, for me, and I guess for you if you enjoy these videos, I got it all back on track. I don't know what I'm going to do in 2025 yet. I'll probably put a thing on the on my community tab to have you guys vote for a book to work on in 2025. I am working on because 40 years of She-Ra is next year. I am working on a She-Ra book, but I've been working on that one for a while, so it seems unfair, being that about 50% of that book is already done, to sort of shoehorn that in. So I'm just going to pick a couple books that would be fun to work on and have you guys vote. And it'll be a live stream or 2 a month. So anyway, let's get started. Let's see. And hello, more MOTU Origins Quirk. It was a tongue twister, which is my way of saying I need more coffee. All right. So today, normally I would do the whole background, then the dragon, then Evil-Lyn. Today we're going to do the dragon, then Evil-Lyn, and then the background. I do have the water-soluble crowns for the background. So yeah, we'll still be those plus the water, but I want to do the dragon and Evil-Lyn first. It's the last stream. We're going to take it old style where I color the most fun part of it and then the background. So anyway, so how was everyone's 2024 now that it's almost over? Mine was okay, all things considered. So bought a house, moved across the state, and still have some remodeling to do for my studio, but otherwise pretty good. I also finally found the box with my Agent Helix in it from G.I. Joe Classified, so I'm going to be able to open that sometime this week. And I, for Christmas, Matt got me a vintage mint and box strawberry shortcake butterfly, which is complete, it has everything in it. And he got me a mint and sealed box, and it's right here, Glamour Gals Party Place. So this was something I wanted as a kid, and one of the few things I never got. So he got it, and it's mint in a sealed box. So of course I'm going to open that up and display it, but so yeah. And I might actually, I don't normally do unboxing videos, but I might for that. Just because it's an old vintage toy, and one of the things I've run into in collecting Glamour Gals action figure dolls is there is not a lot on the internet or even on YouTube about them. So I might sort of help other people who might be collecting or wondering what's up with them. I might do an unboxing video, and at some point I'm going to do a big history of Glamour Gals video, but those are goals for a later day. But I think an unboxing would be kind of cool. And so, oh, and just everyone saying, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, definitely. Oh, yeah. That, and I think his name is Todd even. So, go figure. The Kenner toy line from the 80s had 3 dudes. It was Todd, Bo, and RJ. And then later they added another guy for Wave 2. Whose name escapes me because I have not spent as much time studying Wave 2 because I still have a couple Wave 1 items to pick up. So once I've got all my Wave 1 items, then I will. And ironically, most of the Wave 1 items are the dudes. So, but yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a nice video. And for people who do customs, there is a misconception because there was 1 or 2 items that were shared between Star Wars and Glamour Gals. There's in scale, but they actually aren't. They're actually a full 4 inches. And for those, if you know, you know. But if you don't, whenever Kenner was doing their presentation to DC Comics to get the superpowers. Well, the DC Comics, it wasn't called Superpowers yet, but when they were working on getting that contract, they used Glamour Gals for Supergirl and Wonder Woman. So I've got a couple of beater figures that I picked up in a lot to get some stuff I didn't have, so I might actually transform those beater figures into Supergirl and Wonder Woman customs. We'll see. Once the studio is all set up, I'll have room to sort of play around with stuff like that. So hopefully I'll be able to get back to doing more customs because I have not honestly done. I don't think I did any full customs in 2024. Just because our apartment was tiny and it was really hard to find room. All right, so I started. For those of you who do enjoy the technical side of the coloring, that was yellow chartreuse. I'm using Prismacolor. I'm going to go in now. This is moss green. I'm just going to use that a little bit around the edges. I'm still just doing like undercolors and shading so that when I go in and add the brighter green, it'll pop more. So anyway, back to Glamour Gals on Evil-Lyn. It's really interesting though because Kenner launched that line in 1981. And it sort of died in 1983, which is the year Evil-Lyn was made by Mattel. So around the time I could no longer find Glamour Gals on the shelf was about the time Evil-Lyn came into my life. So it all sort of ties back into the disappointments of childhood, which we all have. We all have. Oh, that would probably, yeah, because they probably are similar enough. And then, hello, welcome, lovely to see you. Titular heroine. If I do a weird accent, I can get it out without my tongue getting twisted, so. Thank you for giving me an excuse to do a bad accent. One day I'll inflict upon everyone my bad Australian accent. But nobody has earned that today. Except my ex, but he's not here. So. He's busy down at the cemetery helping his mom get up for the morning. Takes a lot to get her out of the crypt, which is where she keeps all of her stories. It's funny, if those people ever find my channel, they will not be happy. But that would involve them actually having anything other than, they probably still use AOL and Androids. So, you know. There's also too much art and culture on my channel for them to even bother. They watch mostly content on what to do with the catalytic converter after you've taken it. So I'm just doing the shading. At one point when I was going to do this, I thought about getting a bunch of sequins and rhinestones to give him scales. But then I was like, that's a lot. Also, I don't know that this paper would withstand an entire dragon with sequins and rhinestones. It was more that than anything. But at some point, I'm going to do a dragon with sequins and rhinestones. So heads up, we'll get crafty. I'll probably use some graphite paper to do a transfer onto like a really heavy cardstock that would kill my printer otherwise. So I don't use watercolor paper more because my cruddy printer hates it. It gets stuck anytime I try to do a nice thick watercolor paper. So at some point, I'll upgrade my printer. But otherwise, it works pretty good for what I need. So it seems ridiculous to upgrade it for just that one thing that I would only use every so often anyway. All right, I've got all of sort of the, wait, I lie. I want to put a little bit more right in here. There we go. All right. Oh, and I should do his lip. There we go. It's like Khaleesi, but she's not going to go crazy at the end and ruin the whole show due to bad writing. And to those of you who enjoyed that last season of Game of Thrones, I apologize that you don't have taste. So it's okay. We can't all be winners. And I also say that I also know one of my favorite movies is The Slumber Party Massacre, so obviously my own taste is fairly questionable. So it's all subjective. Or is it no, subjective is right. Objective would be the opposite. Objective is like Forrest Gump is a terrible movie nobody should watch. That's objective. Objective is Moby is terrible. So, I'm adding some green chartreuse on top of all of the moss green and then the yellow chartreuse. Again, this is mostly just for undercolor purposes. I'll add darker, go in and add some darker greens, but it'll help it. It'll help the dragon pop, and especially going green because she's yellow and like navy and purple and black in her costume and color scheme. So the green should really help her stand out. All right, let's see. That's a good idea. I bet nature loves a good catalytic converter. Yeah, exactly. I said HP does. I have an HP printer, which is one of the many mistakes I've made in life. But they do have a it's called Instant Ink, and basically it's a refill thing where they send you more cartridges for it, But you send back your old cartridges to them so they can recycle them and reuse them, which was one of the reasons I went ahead and went with it. The program itself has a few drawbacks, but at the same time, I do like that I don't have to figure out how to properly recycle them and that they will allegedly reuse them. So hopefully that's better. But eventually the goal is to get a printer that I can just refill tanks on. It's also more economical long term to do it that way. So I will say that for the Instant Ink program, it's like $14 a month for the plan I have. And before I had that, when I was having to buy cartridges pretty much every month, I was spending like $40 to $50. So despite some of the drawbacks of that program, I've actually saved a lot of money on it. And I have to print a lot of stuff for work. So between printing out pages to color and work stuff, it's a pretty good deal. So, and I've noticed that the cartridges that they send in the program last a lot longer than the ones I was buying every month. I mean, obviously that's probably part of how the whole program is financially viable for them, is they send you so much ink that it would be really hard to use it all within your assigned pages. I get like, I think 300-400 pages to print a month. In some months I actually tap out. With the move, I've got a bunch of extra sort of banked pages. If you don't use them all, they roll over. I have like almost 900 rollover pages, and 900 is where it tops out. So I'm going to be doing some printing next week. But it's a good time. I'm going to start planning out a bunch of stuff for 2025 as far as for live streams on the Friday live streams and some other projects I want to do. I've picked up some like old Empire Strikes Back paint by number sets, and I've gotten those scanned, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to print those on paper and just do them with colored pencils, or if I'm going to actually try to do a paint by number with acrylic paints. I still am having a really hard time wrapping my head around the idea of actually, like, for all the vintage books and vintage items, actually like coloring them or painting them. Like, it's, you know, because there are so few of some of these items left. It somehow feels like I would be ruining history. So, but I am scanning it, so the pages themselves exist. So it's not like a cardboard piece of cardboard with a printed image on it from the 70s and 80s is going to last forever anyway. They certainly did not make any of these items with the intention that they would do anything but get painted, maybe get stuck on the wall for a little bit, and then be thrown away. So I don't know. That's one thing to think about. I do like printing them and then just coloring them with whatever I want to feel like coloring them with. And having it on that cardboard does sort of limit. I mean, pretty much I'm gonna have to use acrylics or some sort of paint, because colored pencils is not gonna work quite well on that board. So I do like the option of just printing it and using whatever I like the best. So I don't know, I'll figure it out. Either way, Empire Strikes Back. Art kits. Some of them still have the paint in it, and the paints are pretty dried out at this point. One of them I bought on eBay, and the listing said, "Paints probably don't work, don't try it." I was like, well, that's nice of you to point out the obvious. And then I realized you probably have to point out the obvious to some people. So, all right, we've got the chartreuse down. Oh, hello, Alex. Lovely to see you. Hello, Brick. Thank you for popping in. And then, yeah, definitely. Let me know how that works, because like I said, I want to be less of a burden on the environment. Right, I'm going to go in now with grass green, which is a lot brighter than these other colors. Way more green, but I'm not going to worry too much about that, because again, most of this was meant as an undercolor. I'm also going to go a lot heavier around the eyes. I want to kind of give the dragon a little bit of like a face mask. So I'm going to go a bit darker. And then I probably will elsewhere, but I think it'll look kind of good. And hopefully it will look kind of cool. And if not, I can always reprint this page later and redo it in a way I like it. That is the advantage of scanning and printing. You can do the page as many times as you want. Which is probably one of the reasons I had a lot of these coloring books 2 or 3 times as a kid. My mom would always get so annoyed. Don't you already have that one? It's like, yeah, but it's all the good pictures are colored. So. I would find a good coloring book and I would get it a couple times. So. If my mom was still here, she gets so annoyed some of the stuff I say. Talk about childhood. And if, because she passed, like, it's been over a decade now. And if she is somewhere in the afterlife getting annoyed at me, she just needs to send me a sign. But I need to stop. But of course, that would also prove that she never learns, because she can never get me to stop in life either. So I will admit I was probably the most annoying child, because she would be like, you can't do that, and I would be like, well, why? And she would tell me why, and if it didn't make sense to me, I would tell her that and then continue to do what I was doing. It's like I had a teacher one time who was like really mad that I didn't refer to her as ma'am. She was like, yes, ma'am. I'm like, well, yes, ma'am is a sign of respect, and you haven't earned my respect yet. That one got me sent to the office, and my parents called, and my mom actually backed me up on that one. And to be fair, that teacher was a little bit of a bitch. And she was the one who had us, it was like it was 4th grade. And she did macrame on the side, and she would go and sell it at like flea markets and stuff. And she actually would have us, she would be like, okay, today, instead of reading, we're going to make macrame. And she would have us make macrame, and then she would sell it. So basically, we were a sweatshop for her. And if we like wanted to make macrame stuff, she would sell us all of the materials for it, but then we would have to buy it at the end of it. So we would have to pay, and she was doing a markup. So basically we would pay extra for the materials than even if we had gone bought them ourselves. And then we would have to spend $2 or $3 at the end of it to buy the thing that we had paid to make. It's quite the racket. I will say the day that she tipped her head too far forward and her wig pin let loose and her wig fell off, I did not feel sympathy for her. I did laugh. It was really funny. I mean, at that age, anytime somebody's hair falls off, it's going to be pretty funny. So, that's my only sweatshop story I have. So we're tapped out of sweatshop stories. I won't count the summer I worked at Dairy Queen, even though I did sweat a lot. Because ice cream machines put off way more heat than you think they do. There we go. All right, he's coming along pretty nicely. I wish it was Patty Hearst. Okay, because I'm not going to lie, Patty Hearst is one of my heroes. Hello, Payne. Thank you for popping in. Yeah, right. Poor teachers. I actually have several friends who are teachers, and they're nothing like any of my bad teachers, so I feel bad for them. There you go. There's definitely some jokes in there, Andrew, about milking that I definitely feel like soft serve. I mean, like, you definitely, there's some definite jokes you could get in there. Yeah, and yeah, Patty Hearst is one of my heroes, so. I mean, she certainly bounced back from being a radical. Like, Tanya Harding and Patty Hearst, like, I wish my life had gone in a way where I could have befriended both of them, and, like, they could be my girl squad. Like, that's the energy I would enjoy. You know, because Tanya Harding's like, well, if you're second, you know, like, know your limit. You're always going to be second best, but there's a way to be first best if your talent's not going to get you there. And Patty Hearst is just like, screw the man, even though I am the man. And so, and then she like married her bodyguard, and now she does John Waters movies and occasionally writes for Vanity Fair. I mean, it's not a bad life. There is a fun story when she was in Serial Mom with Kathleen Turner, because if you've seen that, there's a part where Kathleen Turner basically has to hit her. And after the scene, Kathleen Turner not thinking, is like, oh, good job. You really know how to take a punch. And and then afterwards, Kathleen Turner was like, oh, that was probably, but Patty Hearst don't care. Kathleen Turner's just lucky she didn't go full Tanya on her. That also happened. I have not. That's one thing I need to do next time I go to California. I need to hit all the Patty Hearst scenes. I always go to the Bay Area and hit all the Zodiac kill sites. But I have not actually done the Patty Hearst tour, so I need to make that happen. I go to LA and it's not there anymore, but I used to drive by the house, the Sharon Tate house, as well as the La Bianca house. And then I always drive by Moby's house because, you know, famous crime scenes. Everything that happens at Moby's house is a crime scene, especially if he's in the studio. But yeah, I should do the Patty Hearst places because that's culturally significant to me. I also need to make it to the arena where Tanya Harding, the Nancy Kerrigan thing happened because, again, very culturally significant. If I ever make it to Long Island, I'm definitely going to drive past the Amityville house and Amy Fisher's house. We all got to have our heroes. Hello, Brennan. Thank you. Lovely to see you. I hope everything's good. I keep meaning to ping you, and then life is just crazy still. So But yeah, thank you for popping in. And I'm sure 2025 will be great. Dragon's looking pretty good. Making him a little bit more smooth, like a salamander kind of thing, rather than sort of like skelly scales, like a dragon, because it's a little bit of a weird dragon. The artist of this book made a couple weird dragons in here. Not gonna lie. It would have been cool though if Mattel had given us a dragon for Evil-Lyn to ride, and then Charger for Tila. And it's still a crime that Mattel has not given us Tila's horse. But hopefully if they do Swiftwind for the 40th anniversary of She-Ra, they will reuse that mold to give us Tila's horse. All right, yeah. He's a nice bright green, and I think we like that for him. I think that's pretty good. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that because originally, and this is one of the things I liked originally about Masters of the Universe Origins was part of the promise was they were going to give us a lot of sort of vintage style stuff, but some of it was supposedly going to be stuff we never quite got. And for the first year, there were a couple items. There was the Lords of Power stuff. We got, even though it was just a Tila repaint, we still got the Attorney and Goddess, which is probably as close to getting the Mark Taylor Sorceress as Mattel's ever going to actually get us. So, but there were a couple things that, like that gave me hope. And then it just sort of turned almost entirely into, oh, well, we're just going to completely redo the vintage line. And I think for me, one of the only real, and a lot of Snake Men. And I like the Snake Men, but it would be nice if it was spaced out a little bit more. I think if we were getting sort of some She-Ra mixed in and some more sort of sketch series style stuff mixed in there, more 2000X. I am glad they finished. I know there are a lot of people who weren't happy that Sunman was part of He-Man. I liked that. I was really happy to get those figures. For me, that was sort of the appeal of what Origins was supposed to be, was getting us sort of things in a vintage style that maybe we didn't have before. And I had always wanted Sunman figures as a kid, but it just never quite worked out. And the only ones I ever saw at the store as a kid were Pigman, Gigitino, and Sunman. And I would always see him after I'd already gotten I was allowed one toy a week. And we would always, they were always at like KB drugstores or Kmart, and we would always go there to those places sort of last. So I'd already gotten whatever I was getting for the day. So it was cool to get all, and that they completed the line, including all of the characters that were not produced. So again, I know there were people that were really sort of butthurt about that, but whatever. Most people are going to find stuff to be butthurt about anyway. It's always cool to get new character, for me anyway. Other people can disagree and well, but I always like getting new characters or versions we never got. You know, and the fact that they all reused the same tooling meant Mattel had the ability to sort of do a lot of part reuse, which a lot of part reuse means it's easier and cheaper for them to produce them, meaning we get more figures. So never quite got why people didn't fully. I don't think it's that they didn't get it. I think some people just didn't want to get it and they just wanted to complain. There are some people, believe it or not, who aren't happy on the internet unless they get to complain. And I also complain on the internet, so I am not completely innocent. I mean, just ask Moby. I mean, he's probably lurking in chat right now. Just waiting to hear, because it's also probably the only time anyone talks about him anymore. I probably do more for keeping Moby alive than anyone else. So anyway, be thankful, Moby. I hope you have a terrible day. And he will, because he's Moby. There's no way you can be Moby and not have a miserable day. And it's not like you wake up and you're like, I'm Moby, my life is wonderful. You wake up and you're like, ugh, I'm still Moby. Use a little yellow paint for the eye here. There we go. Nice. So highlight the whole thing. All right, we got dragon eyes, and we're gonna do him dirty on his teeth. So, for this moment, my apologies to anyone from England, but right now we're gonna treat him as if he's British and give him some British teeth. And he's missing so many already that it just should happen that way. There we go. And I'll go in with over the orange yellow with white. And that'll sort of smooth it out. And give him that black piece. Excellent. Looks pretty good for a dragon. Oh, I hope they do. I will travel to LA to watch that and bring a whole bag of tomatoes. It's a little bit of both. I use a really heavy cardstock that has a lot of sort of tooth to it, but it's also partly just how I color. Yeah, so it's equal parts of the two. So, and this paper that I use, I pretty much use for that reason because it's a lot easier to achieve the textures that I go for. Some of my older videos don't quite get there, and it looks a lot more rough, and that's because it was before I found this particular paper. All right, so I have this little spiky tail. We're gonna do some orange. Give them like an orange, some orange spikes for back there. That'll be fun. And it'll stand out from the green pretty good. If I just did yellow, I don't know how much it would stand out. So. All right, there we go. All right, and now we have Dragon's spiky tail. All right, we'll do Evil-Lyn now, and then I'll do the background with the water soluble. So technically this is Filmation Evil-Lyn, but I'm gonna do sort of toy colors, but not quite. I'm gonna have fun with it. Because at this point I've done so many different Evil-Lyns that we're gonna spice it up a little bit. Not much. It's not gonna be wild, but it's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna use Mulberry, which is much more of a pinkish purple. I'm gonna use that for her jumpsuit and her cape. Well, I don't know if it's a jumpsuit, but use it for her, the fabric part of her little uniform. But also because of the color scheme I went for the background and the green of the dragon, this should help her stand out a lot more. And it's purpley, so it's not too far removed. Her toy color was navy. Well, it's the navy blue, and the Filmation, this is like sort of a darkish purple. So go with sort of this pinkish purple. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Oh, good luck. good luck, Brick. Just remember, the reason that they have all the little sample plates throughout Costco is as a reward as you survive each level. All right, there we go. That looks pretty well, I think. Yeah, I think that works really well with the green. And I think it'll work even better once we have her skin and once I have the blue for her costume. Or not, but if it doesn't work perfectly, that's fine. I've got a whole book with like 3 or 4 other Evil-Lyn pages in it, so this one's more about the dragon. And MOTU Origins Quark, she does look really happy in it. Like, kind of one of the fun things about the picture is just how excited and happy Evil-Lyn looks in it. She did not get a lot of joy in any version of MOTU. Alright, let's see. Normally her helmet is black, but I'm gonna use this for the helmet. I remember seeing somewhere, I don't know if it was one of the magazines released in Latin America or if it was one of the British or German magazines, but there was one of the comic book stories from one of the countries had Evil-Lyn, but she was like in a pink color scheme. It was like pink and like lavender. I've got that picture saved somewhere. I should find it and use it for a future Evil-Lyn page because I really quite liked it. And it looked really good with sort of the shade of yellow that they had used for her skin. So it really popped for me. So I'm going to track that down. Now that this MOTU 84 project is over, other than one or two special projects I'm working on, one of which is with MOTU Origins Quark, but is a little too soon to talk about publicly. But like I did a lot of Masters of the Universe in 2024, so I don't know. I've got a couple of shorts already filmed for January. Yeah, and there'll still be some MOTU content, but I don't know. I might take a little time from doing a lot of Masters of the Universe content. I mean, this book has like 65 pages in it, so I did, just from this book, 65 pages of Masters of the Universe. So it might be a little bit, but when I get back to the next Evil-Lyn page I do, I'm going to save and try to find that color scheme, because I liked it a lot. It was almost like Princess of Power Evil-Lyn, and it would be a good time to do a sort of Princess of Power-esque Evil-Lyn, since it is the 40th anniversary of She-Ra this year. Well, this year being like 2 or 3 days from now. It's already 2025 in my head, y'all. This mulberry is going to work really well, especially once I go in and do the background. I think it also stands out really good from the green, so it's a win-win. Oh yeah, that's looking pretty good. All right, now I'm going to go in with Dahlia Purple, which is a darker purple, and I'm just going to use it a little bit to shade the mulberry. I'm not going to use a lot of it, but just a little bit. A little bit of this will go a long way. Excellent. All right. Excellent. I'm not going to do any of the shading on the cape. I'm just going to leave that as is. So, I don't know why it's suddenly gotten blurry. There we go. It's better. Thank you. Hello, Cassie. Christmas was good. How was your Christmas? Thank you for popping in. All right. Let's do the blue now. Right, this should be Mediterranean blue. Just go in. I say should be because I've actually, all of the sort of marking Oh, it's actually blue cerulean. Okay, it'll work. I hit the light just enough that I could read the imprint on the pencil. As you can tell, I use this one a lot. I know about being subject. I go through this color a lot, so I've got like 3 or 4 extras of this one and Mediterranean blue, because those are my go-tos. Oh yeah, it's working. All right, yeah, that works well with the mulberry and the dahlia and the dahlia purple. All right, there we go. That works pretty good. All right, let's see. All right, time to do her skin. All right, I'm not gonna, eventually we'll get there, but I'm gonna start with yellow ochre, which is a much darker, sort of earthy yellow. It's got like a lot of sort of brownish to it. Put that down as a base coat. And it actually looks pretty close to the Filmation skin tone that they use. Theirs is a little bit peachier, but not quite the neon yellow of the vintage toy. But it's a good sort of base. Right, now I'm going to use lemon yellow, which is lighter. This is a little bit more yellow than Filmation. Well, where it ended up. A lot of the original Filmation stuff was a lot more yellow. It just looks like they either toned down the painting or the models that they kept reusing faded over time. Because when everyone's like, she's too yellow, Filmation Evil-Lyn was not that yellow. It looks like in the beginning she was, and then it just got toned down or that paint fades. Yellow is one of those pigments that often fades in paint. Like if you get yellow ink for a tattoo, that you're gonna have to have that redone because it'll start fading over time. And by over time, depending on your skin, it could start fading within 6 months to a year. I have a friend who has a yellow tattoo that she has to go and get the colors updated on every other year so that it doesn't look too faded and bad. Right, that finishes the skin. I'm just going to give the chartreuse, we're going to start her eyeshadow. And Evil-Lyn is definitely an all the way to the eyebrow sort of gal. And then I'll go in with parrot green, excuse me, parrot green. And there we go. It's a little bit of the corner there. Oh. And I just hit my light. Sorry about that. So I'm not fully used to the new setup. I'm going to give her a bright red lip. I think it works for Lynn. It doesn't really show on camera because it's such a thin line. But yeah. Hello, Oz. Thank you for popping in. Sorry, I only sort of lurked last night, but I spent all day working on that Goonies page, and by the time I finished, it was time for my charcoal mask and a glass of wine and snark. So, but unfortunately, those three things don't mix on an online stream. Definitely not the black charcoal mask. Like, that would have gotten us all canceled, so you're welcome. I'm just going to do this little plant over here. I'm going to do it in sort of this orange yellow. Because that's going to match sort of the color scheme that I use for the ground around them. All right. I'm also going to use that to block out the ground. I'm gonna have the grass overlap a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, now we're going. Now I'm going to use the water-soluble grounds, and I'm just going to lay it on pretty thick. And of course, this is well, several of you have asked on the shorts what it is that I use for the backgrounds. These are them. I like them because one, they kind of look like watercolor, and two, it makes backgrounds go really fast. So, and they look pretty dramatic. So it's sort of the best of all the things. And there are a couple of different ways you can use them. Some people will take a wet brush and just take pigment away from it and then paint like that. I like to just get in there like I'm 5 and it's a crayon, and then go in and clean it up like an adult artist person. So, which is also fun. Something really sort of nice about just getting in there and just going for it. It's a good way to work out if you were having a stressful day, to work out some of that stress. All right, it looks messy, and that's okay, because it won't look messy when we're done. Well, it might, but it'll look fun messy. This is just messy. It's messy like me after 3 martinis and being told to keep something secret by somebody I don't like, so that I'm instantly messaging everybody. Oh my God, you will not believe what Karen just told me. Don't ever include your friend in a group text. Well, and when I say friend, that's a finger quote friend. But when somebody you don't like tells you a secret and you tell everyone, don't do a group text and include them in it. I did that one time. I played it off like, yeah, I wanted you to know. So, use a darker orange in here for the grass. And I'm going to, let's see, red. A little bit of red in there. And it's all going to get mixed up and be pretty, it's going to be a little murky once everything is done, but that's okay. That's kind of what I like. And we're going to use my little circle thing, and I'm going to put a planet right there. I'm going to go ahead and do the planet before we add water, or I start with the sky. So I'm going to do the planet in orange, red, and yellow, so that it ties into the ground, but also it'll stand out. I'm going to do all black for the sky. And if anyone is wondering, I do not follow any official source for the sky in Eternia. As far as when I add a planet, I just make up stuff as I go. This was 1984. This coloring book was part before Filmation really took over, and some Filmation. So we're in the wild times of MOTU where you could just make it up. So we're just making up the sky. And this is the yellow. This is a canary yellow. I'm just going to blend the red and the orange and give us a weird planet right there. All right, we have our planet, and now it's time. Again, I'm just going to use straight black for the sky because it's space. But also, if I were to add more colors to it, it would get a little too busy. And it would take away from Evil-Lyn and the dragon. Because mostly what I would put in the sky for a night sky would be like purples and pinks. And that would really take away from Evil-Lyn. The dragon may be the star, but she's pretty much equal billing, so. Actually, I was going to do sort of a frame effect, but I changed my mind. All right, there we go. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's also the original mini comics. Like, college just did whatever he wanted. So, all right, and then I actually need to get a new one because, as you can see, it's a little stained at this point, but you don't care. Oh, and this is not the right one. Haha. It would help if I grabbed the right one. Here we go. This one is stained blue and green. But I'm going to pick more of these up soon. So, and I'm going to start with the sky so that it will dry, so I can go in with the paint pen and start adding stars. Those original collector's cases go for a lot of money now. I was looking at them because I was like, oh, I'll pick one up. In good condition. Well, there's a few people who are selling them in really bad condition. And sort of my intention was to get one and then scan the art and use it like for a cover for some of the MOTU pages I've done. And also because, you know, those are a lot of the items from the old, you know, toy line that I feel like should be preserved in some capacity. So, you know, there are so many of the figures and even a ton of MOTU. I mean, it's spendy, but you can pretty easily find most of the vintage line, like mint on card. They were made in such high numbers that, you know, the stuff like that vinyl case, like, not made as in high of numbers, but also so many of them would have been played with and destroyed. And so at some point I will hit a garage sale and they will have one in pretty good condition. It doesn't have to be in great condition, like just like the right condition. The art needs to be good, but like the vinyl itself can be the clear vinyl from the front. You know, because to scan it properly, it's going to have to come out of the vinyl. So, sort of the other thing, like there have been a few that technically meet the criteria, but I'm not going to spend $30 to $50 for something I'm going to rip apart to scan. So, but someday I will find the perfect convergence. Or if anyone has one and it's in terrible condition, and you've got a scanner, please let me know. I'm happy to, if you're somebody who just scans and stuff, chat me up, because I'm happy if, you know, and to even keep it sort of in a private archive collection or whatever, but I'm happy to throw a couple bucks your way for good scans. I'm aware of the time and energy and effort that sort of thing takes, so. And also, I've got a ton of scans, so I'm also happy to trade from my personal collection of files as well. So just hit me up, let me know. The whole goal is to make sure that the stuff is preserved in some capacity and doesn't sort of disappear. Because from, you know, like historically, it may not be as important as sort of, you know, like big stories or whatever, but I think the pop culture and the things that we enjoyed, I think it's equally important. I think that'll be really helpful in the future for people studying, you know, like, you know, 100 years from now, people who are studying sort of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s into the 2000s. I think that having access to all of our sort of art and our pop culture, I think it'll be really important as part of the sort of, I guess, psychoanalyzing, but sort of understanding the way everything happened and played out. But easier to go back and look at our things that in that capacity and then understand, and the better the quality of all of the stuff preserved, the better they can get in our heads and figure us out. So, all right, sky is done. I'm gonna let that dry. Hello. Oh, I enjoy. Yeah, all the knockoff stuff is really cool too. When I was a kid, this was before MOTU. This was Star Wars, but all those weird like knockoff Star Wars cases, the vinyl ones. Like one of my grandparents got that for me for my birthday, and I was such a spoiled little brat. I whined and complained, so they took it back and exchanged it to get me the Kenner one. And of course, now the one that they took back and exchanged, trying to track one of those down in good condition is like next to impossible. They're so expensive because sort of all of that stuff was made, and people didn't hold on to a lot of the bootleg stuff the same way. And to me, a lot of that art is really interesting, and you know, sort of the art designed to, it's like Star Wars, but it's almost like it's like AI art, but real. It's not like, you know, stolen. It's like, we need something that looks like Star Wars, but isn't, and sort of getting around the trademark and the copyright. There's some pretty cool creative stuff that comes out of that. So, speaking of weird AI art, I got into, I don't know that it's a real argument, but my video feed on YouTube had some person, you know, one of those people, here's a way you can make hundreds of dollars without doing anything. Here's how you make a coloring book and sell it on Amazon. And, you know, step 2 is like, go to the imaging thing, and it's like, a lot of the people who do adult coloring don't like the AI art. And if you don't disclose that in your listing, they will send, I sent 3 books. Somebody gave me an Amazon gift card, and I used it to buy some print-on-demand coloring books. And a couple of them are from actual artists, but a few of them I'm like, well, this looks fun. And then I got it, and it was really clear that it was AI. So I sent it back, you know, got a credit. But if it's print-on-demand, the author actually pays extra for stuff getting sent back. So I just made the comment, like, you need to disclose that, because a lot of people don't want to color the images, because it takes away from real artists who are actually making money, or having money taken away by sort of your cheap inferior art products. And the person making the video tried to get in there and salvage it, and I just wasn't having it. It's like, okay, great, give people this bad advice, and when their shit gets returned and they end up owing Amazon, they can come back and tell you that in the comments, so that, you know, they know you're lying to them just to get a lot of views and make money off this video. I haven't gone back to see if my comments were deleted yet. But, like, there are people who don't mind. And that's, you know, like, if you're doing personal imaging stuff with AI, I don't care. But I don't want to buy an AI-made coloring book or art from anybody. Anyone who tries to sell me AI art, it's a big no. If you're doing something for personal, to help you figure out composition or to help inspire you, great, but you need to be making real art from that. And I don't even just mean putting it in some sort of AI, some sort of program to clean it up. Like, you need to do actual art from it, because otherwise it is stolen from somebody's actual real art. And so, not all you're doing is sort of high-tech tracing if you just go in and clean it up. But, you know, everyone uses reference photos. So if you're using it for reference, that does not bother me. It's just, you can't trust big corporations and tech bros to be ethical in the way they use stuff. Most artists are going to be ethical, and it's all the people who have no artistic talent who misuse these tools to screw actual creators over. So, anyway, Allison's AI Soapbox 2024. At one point, I did go to one of the AI generators, because I was just curious, and I was like, what would and I'm working on a couple different Supergirl videos, and one of them is, I asked the AI generator to make a Supergirl the movie toy line. Oh, it was, I laughed so hard at how bad it all looked. So I was almost like, I almost wanted to create an ongoing series on my channel where I ask AI to make stuff, and it's all just bad. Hey, Tony. Why, thank you. Thank you. Tony was here with me a few weeks ago. Thank you, Tony, for joining me. And at some point, Tony will be back. Just so that he's not blowing up Lawrence, aka A Punk with Toys, messages all the time about when I'm going to have him back. You know, because that's time talking to Lawrence where it's not talking about Lawrence and Lawrence's channel and how many subscribers he has. So gotta protect Lawrence from that. It's also Lawrence's birthday today. So if you follow A Punk with Toys or are subscribed to him, you should go over to his channel and tell him happy birthday. And if you're not subscribed, go subscribe so that I can say, well, I got you another subscriber. All right, there we go. We have some white stars. I'm gonna put in some yellow stars as well. We're at 1 hour and 15, and this is done. So this went pretty fast. It's okay. I've got some stuff we can work on. Let's grab something from my pile, because I always have a pile. Sort of color. I did not expect it to go that fast. I've also obviously gotten faster at doing basic pages. And after yesterday, that Gloomies page took me all day. All day. It's like 8 hours. I mean, I took some lunch breaks in there, but oi. All right, we've got some red stars and some yellow stars and some white stars. Actually, I'm going to use this red pen. Just give the dragon a little bit more red in his eye. But otherwise, this is done. So I've got that one page left to film today, and the book is done. So that's weird. That feels really weird to be able to say. I did not think I would finish this book this year. Especially when the move thing started. I was just like, ugh. Because there was a period there for 2 weeks where I didn't even color for myself. So, all right, there she is. All right, I will leave that there. Oh, here we go. Right, so what I do have sort of right here on the top of the stack, this is Alcala art. This is from Battle Ram blog page, Adam. And this was a paint by number page that appeared, I forget where it appeared, but it was basically part of how they advertised Faker. I took the paint by number page and switched it to black and white. This is one of the, this is not the best. This is sort of like halfway through the process, and I printed it because sometimes it'll look really good as a digital file, but not so much once it's printed. And I sent the other one that was nicely printed to a friend who likes Faker. So I have this one. It's not the best, but we'll just work on this until the end, because I'll do the full 2 hours, and that's about 40 more minutes from now. So I don't know if we'll finish it. If we finish it, I'll wrap up early, but let's do some Faker and He-Man, because I don't get to do as much Faker, because he is not as much in the media as he could or should be. So, Faker versus He-Man. And again, go check out the Battle Ram blog. He's got an actual scan. He has the actual scan of it with like sort of the color lines for the paint by number side. Yeah, like it was part of a really cool ad. So, and you know, and it's exactly the sort of stuff that I look for to, you know, sort of the weird corners of MOTU history that don't necessarily end up in like Dark Horse books. Like this is the stuff that and this is, you know, Alcala art. It's really hard to go wrong with Alcala. Like, huge fan of his work. Beyond MOTU, I've been. It won't be until August, but I'm working on an Alcala history video. Just because his art is so, for me, quintessential to why I love Masters of the Universe. I don't feel like he gets, I mean, you know, outside of like the Battle Ram blog in certain circles, I don't feel like he gets enough props for what he contributed to the whole aesthetic of He-Man. So, have that go. His birthday is in August, so that's why I want to sort of aim to get it out in August. I wanted to get something this August, but with the moving stuff, the physical move didn't start until October, but we're looking at the house and we're doing all the things you have to do to get a house. So, did not have a lot of bandwidth for actually writing and researching and properly delivering the video. So I was like, it can just wait for next August. I don't want to throw something half-assed out there, you know, especially when it's something that I feel like is so important. So, like my Imperial Troop Transport video that just hit, I've been working on that for about a year. Like Oz and I didn't record that a year ago. We did that pretty recently, but the part where we got to the recording of it was I finally had all of my research done. I had the script written. I had all of my little tiles made for the non-story part of it. So it takes me longer to do those than it does the coloring videos, ironically. But yeah, so hopefully everything lines up so that I can do the Alcala appreciation video in August. And, you know, covering his entire career, not just Masters of the Universe. He lived a really cool life. He was originally from the Philippines, and like he was there during several occupations. And it seems like that really probably was a pretty big influence. So that'll be harder for me to speak on because it's not at all my cultural experience, but I'm going to do my best to give the man some props. And I have this really cool, which, you know, the video will have some stills and scans from, but I found this really cool, the Art of Alcala book. It has a bunch of his old stuff from when he was in the Philippines making art. The stuff that got him sort of noticed by American comic book companies. And a lot of that's in black and white. So hopefully I'll be able to, sort of like we did with the troop transport, hopefully I'll be able to get some of it colored and get someone to record some of the dialogue and sort of end the video with a short short dramatic reading of some of his original character stuff from the Philippines. I mean, there's plenty of Masters of the Universe content that I can make from it, but I'd like to, you know, for that video, have it be some of his original characters and original concepts. So, because that was the stuff that was a surprise to me. Like, his Masters of the Universe stuff is all over the place. That's a lot easier to find. Well, have a good day. Thank you. Sorry, I missed that. So yeah. It'll be a fun video. Hopefully, I can make it happen. I'm sure I will. August is pretty far off, and I'm pretty far into it. And then at some point, obviously, I want to do Radio Bro and all, sort of all the old artists. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fit it in, but I've also been working on a George Perez video. Jose Luis Garcia, that one I've got a little bit of work done on. That'll be easy though, because almost all of the Superpowers art is either him doing it or it's taken from the DC style guide that he did all the art in. So that one will be easier to sort of tie into what I do here. George Perez might be a little bit of a stretch, but I'll figure it out. Oh, there we go. Very nice. So I'm going to go in with Cloud Blue and just sort of blend in some of that darker blue. I do have a short with Faker and Evil-Lyn that will hit in a couple weeks. So that's fun. Because again, there's not a lot of Faker stuff out there. This figure was one of the, he didn't last quite as long in the original line. And then when they brought him back in '87, it was toward the end of a lot of the extra media stuff. So it's really, it's cool to find Faker stuff, but there's just not as much of it as you would expect. Because, most of Wave 2 characters, Chop Jaw, Triclops, Manny Faces, Evil-Lyn, sort of all over most of the media. Even, years into it, those are sort of like the A-list characters. It's like He-Man, Skeletor, then Man-at-Arms, Teela, Orko. Love them or dislike them. Orko was pretty much Sorceress, and then it was like Evil-Lyn, Triclops, Chop Jaw. I always liked Stratos and Zodak, but it never felt like they quite hit sort of A-lister. It's too bad. Really cool characters. And Zodak is one of my favorite characters. So I mean, he did sort of start out as a sort of a Boba Fett ripoff. He was the bounty hunter who became a cosmic enforcer. There we go. All right, we've got a Faker. Trying to think if I should the armor, if it should be orange or if it should be sort of magenta. It's a question for the ages. But while I figure that out, I'm gonna give him, make his shorts black. Yeah. Yeah, he's really, I don't know, he's just a really cool character. Like, I mean, he shouldn't be, because it's really a lazy toy. Like, it's literally just He-Man in completely different colors with, like, Skeletor armor in different colors. It shouldn't work. It should be, you know, completely... It's just so lazy, but there's something about it that just works. So, alright. So I'm gonna use sort of the Dahlia purple that I used to shade Evil-Lyn. I'm gonna use that on his belt. I know that technically his shorts are normally purple and the belt is normally black, but we're gonna flip that around. I think this is a little bit more colorful. I like this a little bit more. So. Here we go. And I'm going to do the belt in the same color. I mean, the boots in the same color. Even though, again, sometimes those boots are black. You can go for the purple. And I'm also going to do the bracers in purple instead of black. Just make them a little bit brighter. It also kind of makes them more of a reverse of He-Man. Because He-Man's bracers are orange. Orange. I think my southern may have slipped through and I just said orange. My apologies. It happens. There are just some words that trip me up. It's like crayons. No matter how I try, you can always hear the South. Which is why it's so much better to use Crayola. There is, oh, let's not forget his other boot. That would be bad. All right. The boots. Got his fur boots. Yeah, I think I'm going to do magenta for the armor instead of orange. And that matches the cross set. So. Yeah. Orange is just a word I'm not going to say anymore today. You work so hard to get certain accents out and some words. Oh yeah, I think that works. I think it goes better with the purple than the other color that his armor normally is would. Maybe when we do the boots this color too. It's usually going to get a darker purple, but I think I'm going to break the color scheme rules a little bit. I'm just going to go for it. All right, there we go. Yeah, I agree. And they could really easily, because there are people who are like, oh, I spent a gazillion dollars on those. It was a set. Like, you just release them individually. Like, you don't have to release them as a 2-pack. You really release them individual. And some of the duplicate stuff, some of that they could use for Battle Lion as well as 2000X Battle Cat. So, and there's sort of the, you can still get, like the original Battle Cat pretty inexpensively in places, but like a no-brainer for a Mattel Creations 2000X Battle Cat and duplicate options. Like, it's literally just reusing molds they already have with different color schemes. And especially duplicate and Neo Faker, there was such a, there are a lot of people who got screwed out of getting those who are not. And I don't blame anyone who's not willing to spend hundreds of dollars for 2 figures. I was pretty fortunate to get mine through Big Bad Toy Store. For that limited window they were available. But if not, it would be a set. It's sort of like the Lords of Power set. I didn't realize that it was happening, and by the time I realized it was a thing, it was super expensive, and I'm going to spend that kind of money. It needs to be on a vintage toy. It's really hard for me, justify spending hundreds of dollars on something more modern. And there are people who do it, and hey, your money, your choice. But I'm going to do the bat in orange. That's pretty cool. Looks nice. All right, let's do his hair. And for the hair, we're going to start with. I'm going to start with mineral orange, which is a pretty dark shade of orange. With blonde hair, I usually use like cream as my first layer. So I'm going to sort of do what I would do if I were doing. I don't really do orange hair. This is one of the ways I start with sort of redhead, depending on. It's like a strawberry blonde. I use this a lot for Angela from Princess of Power for her hair. I'm going just with the regular orange. There we go. I can say orange again without it being too weird. And next, I am actually going to do a little dark brown. And that's just to help sort of give it a little bit of texture and definition. Okay. And now finally vermilion. It's vermilion red, but it's an orange. Okay, there we go. I think I've got it. I think I can say orange again. Yeah, my phone keeps going off today. I miss the days where businesses could not call you on Sunday. I don't know which political devil we have to thank for ruining that one, but I hope they have the fiery afterlife they deserve. And end up in a catacomb down there right next to Moby and have to listen to his music all day. I'm going to do the power sword in orange because we all know magenta power sword is Prince Adam's. Excellent. Yeah, but you're really super talented, bud. So it literally within like 3 or 4 minutes the day those went live. Like if I had hesitated, if I had not been at the computer right when they went live, I probably would not have gotten one because they went that fast. And then they would get them sporadically after that. But of course, Big Bad Twister will mark it up once there's sort of a collector's demand. So at one point they popped back up, but the duplicates, that was like $175, which is, you know, that's a scalper price. Sorry, BBTS. I know technically like there's a demand, but it just seems shifty when an actual retailer who gets their stuff directly from the companies marks it up like they're a scalper on eBay. So, all right, Baker is done. Got about 17 minutes left. I bet we can get most of He-Man. And I'm going to start with Eggshell. I'm going to do He-Man's skin first. So live stream, I'll do He-Man the exact opposite that I do if I'm filming a video. So always skin last. Well, skin and then hair last. So I'll probably do his hair last, though. Okay. I'll start with the skin. All right, there we go. He-Man's skin is done. Normally for He-Man, I use pumpkin orange, but I'm just going to go with this more red orange. I'm going to be a little dramatic. Since we did some dramatic colors over here with Faker, I'm going to do a little bit more of a radical skin tone than I would normally. This was originally paint with water, though, so the colors in this would have been, it would have probably been like an orange and peach. I can't remember what it was. I should look that up, but yeah, it was probably like a layer of orange and a layer of pink right there. And then once they mix, they sort of looks like a skin tone. And so here we go. Now add some extra orange in there and get it all dramatic. It's a really weird thing for me sometimes about sort of He-Man versus other properties I do, is that there's a lot of room to get sort of more dramatic with it. And it doesn't always happen because it's kind of hard, especially if I'm filming 2 or 3 pages in a day. You know, Strawberry Shortcake, you don't necessarily get super dramatic with anything other than how you do the berries. Yeah, in Star Wars, I try to do, you know, sort of realistic to the actors, because most of the art for Star Wars stuff is trying to be realistic. But for He-Man, like, there's so much room to just get in there. And since I'm not going to have as much He-Man content, at least for the first 2 or 3 months of 2025, might be a good time to reset my thought process around He-Man so that I can get sort of more, do more orange in the skin and not worry so much about if it looks real or not. It's He-Man. It doesn't need to look that real. It needs to be dramatic and exciting. Right, there we go. And then to blend it, I'm going to use salmon pink, which is, again, even though it says it's pink, it's got a lot of sort of orange in it because salmon. And so that should give us a really nice too long in the suntan or too long under the Eternia, the 4 Sons of Eternia. Either way. I think I'm also not going to worry about doing the ground. I'm just going to do He-Man. Although I need to do all the extra stuff. There we go. Excellent. Yep, I'm liking it. It's again a lot more orange than I would normally go. But it does. It looks sun-kissed. Well, sun French kiss. Let's go for that, because sun kiss would be a little bit more subtle. But the sun got all up in there, so we'll call it sun French kissed. All right. Huh? Right? Exactly. Exactly, right? Like, I don't know. That has been what's really interesting to me, and not a good way. And sort of some of the news about various casting choices for the movie came out, and just this weird, like, Man-at-Arms should be white. It's like, he's Eternian. Maybe, Like, maybe you don't. Maybe it doesn't matter. You should just... I should do that. That's it. My next man at arms short, I'm gonna model him after Idris Elba and see how many hate comments I can get. And I'll do one of those little like YouTube voiceovers that you see in shorts, like the AI voice. They use the AI voice where it's like, will he be the best man at arms ever? And then, yeah. That'll get me some good hate comments. It won't just be the one dude who surfaces every so often to let me know my forehead is too big to be on the internet. Oh, user 772. Where did our love go wrong? Although I did just think of a choice response to him about something being too small on him for him to be on the internet. So I think I'm gonna, next time he pops in, rather than just hiding or deleting the comment, I'll just reply to him with a snappy response and then screenshot it. So that way if he deletes his comment, it's all still there. It has been probably 6 months since he's come on to let me know. So maybe he died. We love that for him. I say that and he'll leave a comment about how mean I am for wishing him dead. It's not what I said, Carl. Media literacy is important. I said maybe, and that I love that for you, if so. But if you're still here, well, I don't love that for anyone, but that's still not the same. For He-Man's hair, I'm going to use cream as the first layer. It's a very sort of whitish, yellowish, vanilla-y thing, which will work out. Let's see. I read a book recently where the guy writing it referred to He-Man as a bleached blonde, and I'm like, that is not, no. He-Man does not have a bleach job because it's not, his hair is not the color of bleach. Your wife, sir, she has a bleach. I'm just kidding. I don't know what his wife looks like. But it's just really weird. Like, it was a book about Mattel, and most of his Mattel information was really good and really accurate, but like his MOTU, his 2 or 3 little sequences on it were just, it was like, did you research anything about He-Man? Like, his Barbie stuff is impeccable. And I think that's the problem, is most people, when they want to talk about Mattel, they want to talk about Barbie without sort of acknowledging that, you know, for a while, like, He-Man outsold Barbie. Like, when He-Man hit, Barbie was not living her best life. Toward the end of the 70s and early 80s, Barbie sales were not what they had once been. I'm going to assume Kinder Strawberry Shortcake had a little bit to do with that. So, yeah. But otherwise, like, his book was pretty strong. But again, every book I read where anyone talks about Mattel, they kind of like, they'll say stuff like, oh, Masters of the Universe had a few good years and then it petered out. But Barbie, there's even not a ton of discussion around Hot Wheels, which again also was a pretty huge brand. And it's because of Hot Wheels that there were all the regulations about cartoons and toys that, of course, Masters of the Universe later was one of the first things to get around that. when it was deregulated. So there's some really interesting symmetry there that it seems like somebody writing one of these books would focus on, that it's because of Mattel that this stopped, and then as soon as it was sort of lifted, the law was relaxed somewhat. Mattel is one of the first companies that essentially took advantage of it. And it's interesting too, because it was in that sort of post that Filmation really sort of rose to the top. And like, you know, we don't really talk about Bill Cosby anymore, but Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids like won a lot of awards and was really like, it's a pretty big deal. And that was a Filmation thing. So and people talk about Filmation and focus on He-Man and She-Ra and, you know, Brave Star and Black Star and all of that. But they were a pretty big deal. They did the Archie's cartoons and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I don't think they did Josie and the Pussycats. I think that was Hanna-Barbera. But basically for a really long time, Filmation was actually, you know, doing a lot better as far as awards and being recognized for doing great work than Hanna-Barbera was. So it's just interesting that they sort of got their big boom post, you know, cartoons can't be toy commercials. But it was at the end, it was the whole Brave Star thing that finally killed them off. Killed by toys. And so maybe at some point that'll all be in. I'll do a big video on all that. It's pretty interesting. And I haven't seen a lot of videos that sort of put all those pieces together. Like there'll be a video that talks about sort of Brave Star, but without any of the context. And so, you know, and Lou Scheimer started Filmation, and one of his original goals was, you know, to keep all the animation in the United States. Because at that point, a lot of it was being outsourced, and a lot of animation jobs were lost. And one of the reasons originally Mattel was just going to have Masters of the Universe be a couple of specials, which would have pretty much worked out to be the same. But part of the reason he pushed to do it as a series was that he was able to employ people year round, and then they had full salaries and they could do like benefits, and like he just seemed like a pretty okay guy as far as if you worked for him. You know, like he really wanted to do well by his employees. And like sort of seemed to really care about animation being, you know, I don't want to say profitable, but being something people could make a living doing. So, I don't know. All the various ideas that one day maybe I'll get to. It would be fun. And, you know, like a lot of this I could easily talk about while coloring some Filmation inspired MOTU. So, we probably will do a little bit more of that as far as history videos. All right. Okay. Oh. Also, at one point, there was the story that was going around, and I believe, and MOTU Origins Quirk has left, so he can't correct me. I believe at one point there was a story in Germany where it was stated the reason that Faker was blue was because Skeletor made him partially through magic, and the magic basically went sideways. So, like, he couldn't use his evil magic to replicate He-Man perfectly because He-Man is such a good hero, and therefore Faker was blue. Which I'm gonna say, like, kind of has a little, and there's some subtext there that I don't quite care for, so I'm okay that that didn't end up happening. Yeah, that's subtext I don't think I care for. And I don't think, whoever created it, I don't think that was at all sort of their intention, but it's really easy to have a cool idea and not realize, take a step back and sort of look at the big picture and realize that you might be making a suggestion of something that that's not a good idea to suggest. So. Yeah, I think especially with the way the whole situation with the Gar people and MOTU has become sort of an allegory. It seems really even more poorly considered. So I'm glad that didn't actually take off. Because that would, of course, lead to a lot of, the usual bad actors in situations like that making the usual badly considered shitty arguments. It looks like we're right at 2 hours. If you guys want to stay and hang out just a little bit more, all I have to do is finish the hair, the belt, and that, and it'll be done. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hang out and finish this. If you got to go, that's cool. But it seems silly to stop right at 2 hours when I'm so close to being done with it. I'll have to start. This is the second or third time this has happened on the stream. So I'm going to have to start making sure I have at least 2 pages for every live stream now where I don't have a guest. All right. And I'm going to do red for these. I sometimes do orange. I sometimes do red. I like it when it's red. And my memory of my vintage toy was that those were red, even though I do know some people allegedly have them orange. So use a little bit of burnt ochre in the hair. All right, and that is that. I'm going to use that yellow ochre and sort of blend that out. And then just a touch of goldenrod. It's pretty close to the same color blend I use for Barbie hair. Barbie gets one less brown. And like He-Man, I give a dark brown and the burnt ochre. Barbie just gets the burnt ochre. And I leave a lot more of the sort of cream undertone so that you get that sort of goldy shimmery effect with her hair. At some point I should do a short tutorial video on Barbie hair. All right, and He-Man's hair. Oh, wait, this is spot. There we go. He-Man's hair is done. Excellent. All right, it is done. All right. So 2 hours, 5 minutes, 2 pages. It'd be a bit more if I were going to do the ground, but I'm not going to do the ground. I don't have to. So finish that, and this is the point of today. I'm going to go have lunch after we end this, and then I'm going to film the last page from this book, which is this page of him fighting some bugs. The video should drop tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. I'm sorry, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If it doesn't, it'll definitely drop before the 1st. So it's going to be after I finish the coloring, how exhausted I am, and if I can make the editing happen. So in the meantime, thank you very much for hanging out with me today, and forgiving my orange issues. And thank you for, this is the last stream of the year, so thank you for everyone who has hung out for these and popped in. And thank you for indulging me while I worked on this Masters of the Universe book. I'm going to stick up, probably tomorrow, a poll on my community tab with a couple books that maybe I can work on in 2025. Yeah, 2025. Gosh, time flies. Anyway, I'm going to put that up, vote for him. Whatever gets the most votes, I can't say that I will finish it, but we'll, at least for Fridays and 1 or 2 Sunday streams a month, we'll work on that. I'll work on that book. And I will only, in this case, put up books that I have full scans for, so I can put pages up. So if you guys want to download and color along, you can. So anyway, on that note, thank you again for hanging out. Thank you for subscribing, watching, liking, doing all the things that you have done to help make 2024 a really fun year for me on this channel. I don't think you guys know how much I appreciate that you enjoy this weird stuff I enjoy. So thank you so much. I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Exactly, Andrew. Exactly. Orange out.